2022 has been a stacked year for movies, and all August long, every time I go to the theater, I am in awe. Nope is a very interesting movie. Siblings OJ and Emerald Haywood own a ranch. They see a UFO and try to videotape it. So what is the UFO? I think the UFO is a giant eye. It is a metaphor of the eye of the audience watching movies, the way of seeing, placing pressure on movies to be certain ways. This movie is a lot about the tug of war between filmmakers and audience as movies try to win over the audience. Most of the movie takes place on the Haywood's ranch, where there is no other people around. In typical sci-fi action movies like 2012's The Day After Tomorrow, Titanic, there are massive groups of people screaming and dying on screen, being shot or drowned or blown to pieces. On the Haywood Ranch in Nope, there were only the Haywood siblings, the filmmaker, and the tech guy who are all there to videotape the UFO. The only random person to come to the ranch and die is the man on the motorcycle, and he was wearing a helmet that covered his whole face so you can't see his face. And even that guy works for the news station, so he is not a regular civilian. And you have lots of balloon figures on the ranch. This shows that a movie with African American leads has more sensitivity around lots of innocent bystanders dying on their ranch in their movie. And during the current pandemic, people are used to being at home and not socializing with lots of people, so it's plausible and okay to have a movie without crowds. 3,000 Years of Longing is one of my favorite movies this year. I think this movie may appeal more to female audience. Alethea buys a bottle and a genie comes out to grant her 3 wishes. She is content with life and can't think of 3 wishes. The genie tells her his life story where his wish granting led to tragedies for both the wishers and himself. Alethea and the genie bond. Alethea makes a few selfless wishes that all relate to the genie. She and the genie form a lifelong friendship. This is definitely a movie of our pandemic times when people long for social connections. You cannot wish for love and marriage and get a happily ever after. That is wishful thinking. Too many things could go wrong. But when the wisher and the genie work together and truly care for one another, with some chance, you get connection and friendship. Bullet Train brings together multicultural crime bosses to fight over a briefcase of money on a train. You have the Latin American crime boss deeply in love with a woman wearing traditionally inspired suits and shoes. You have the Asian multi-generational crime boss swinging a samurai sword. You have the British buddy crime bosses with humorous and witty bantering. These characters each have a unique relationship: husband and wife, father and son, and best friends. The Latin American badass would lose his wife, Asian badass was at risk of losing their son, and the British badass lost his buddy. And all of these characters have a scene from their childhood which serve to connect them. Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Mrs. Harris is a cleaning lady living in 1950s London. She saves money to fly to Paris to buy a Chanel dress. Movies are about spectacles, and beautiful fashion is a spectacle to behold. For a movie that shows beautiful clothes, it is clever to show scenes of people who work to make the dresses and the people who work to pay for the dresses. Centered to Mrs. Harris's story is the rise of the working class and demand for better work conditions, both of which lead Chanel to adapt to the times and cater to the growing middle-class consumers. Mrs. Harris, an older female, is out there facilitating social change, while there are also younger characters pursuing their dreams and finding their place in the world. I also watched Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This is a slasher horror. Slashers are about a group of teenagers or young people getting killed one by one, and one final girl survives. Despite this somewhat laughable premise, slasher is one of the most innovative genre of film. And in Bodies, 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 a whole new generation of teenagers with their characteristic way of talking and attachment to technology has taken on the torch.